Guys, what's going on? It's Ash here coming at you today in Raid Shadow Legends. So I was sitting in my bed last night because apparently this is the state of my romantic life. I'm playing Raid Shadow Legends in bed while trying to multitask watching Game of Thrones. That's right, I'm watching Game of Thrones like 15 years after it was released. I'm on the final season though. No spoilers in the comments. Don't do it to me. So what I end up doing is I end up playing Raid and then missing like 10 minutes because I got stuck in, focusing on an arena battle or whatever. And my mind got thinking to, okay, tomorrow's video, what am I going to record? And then, the thought kind of struck me just out of curiosity. Who are the fastest champions in terms of base stats in the game, right? Now, I think this is a pretty crappy video idea in full transparency because, just because you're, 5 speed higher than this other champion, does that make you that much more amazing? Well, A, it scales better. So when we look at the base stats of any champion in the game, we have to take into consideration that they're easier to scale, right? It's easier to make a fast champion faster, right? Because their base is so high. And any percentages, obviously, are playing off of that base or the total stat as well, depending if it's an aura or if it's an artifact set, etc. You guys know the rules of the game. So then I kind of looked at the top fastest, rares and epics and legendaries, and I thought to myself, wow, man, like these champions are all really good, and some of them are obviously really great champions, and some of them are champions that I can't even say I've talked about much on the channel. So in today's video, I'm going to bring you my 5 fastest epic champions inside the game and talk a little bit about their kits and why I think they're worth investing in, maybe with the exception of one champion. However, the number 1 on the list is not going to be, or I should say number 5 on the list. We'll go in reverse order here, really hype it up, guys. I'll even put the numbers in there, why not? So stay tuned and let's go ahead and start the list at number 5. That's right, coming in at number 5 and probably the best champion, well, I guess you could argue, on the list is Stag Knight. Where do you guys rank Stag Knight in terms of epics? Do you put him at top 5, top 3, top 1 epic in the game? Is certainly in that conversation, in my eyes at least. Compared to Tyrell, he does have the decreased attack and decreased defense on a 3-turn cooldown, provided he's booked up on Huntmaster. However, the downside compared to Tyrell is he does not have the defensive aura that Tyrell has. So I think Tyrell's a bit better in Clan Boss. He also has the decreased attack on the A1 as opposed to a 3-turn cooldown. But, in dungeons, I prefer Stag Knight. Of course, affinity is also a factor there. And he's very fast at 107 base speed. We talk about Stag Knight a lot here on the channel, obviously, but we don't talk about how fast he is as well. His base stats are really, really exceptionally good. You're not looking for a lot of damage out of him, but actually his multipliers on these attacks aren't that bad. Those of you who have Stag Knight know that he can easily put down 400, 500, 600,000 damage over the course of a 3-round dungeon fight as well. So just a really useful champion, really fast champion. Look at that base HP, almost 21,000 base HP. Stag Knight is one of the newer epics in the game, and he's really, really exceptionally good in this game. Has the decreased speed on the A1, and then he has the decreased attack and the decreased defense at a 95% chance on the A2. You get the sniper ability in his masteries, and he'll have that up to a 100% chance, and you'll be looking good. On his passive, Lead the Pack has a 50% increased accuracy buff on an ally, for 1 turn, each time that ally has a debuff resisted by an enemy. A great little passive there to add to his already incredibly useful kit. So next up is Rowan, guys. Now, Rowan has a base speed of 108 base speed. Very, very fast champion. She looks it too, right? I love it. I love the motif here of Rowan, the aesthetics of Rowan. However, with that said, look at this defense. Oh my word. 694. Talk about squishy. Talk about a glass cannon, guys. She is a very, very squishy champion, even despite about the average HP of a little bit shy of 17,000. So Rowan is not on the same tier as 3 of the champions on today's list, but I think she's an intriguing champion, especially after the buff, despite her low defense. I'm curious, do any of you guys use Rowan on a regular basis? I know there are some, based on the comments on other videos, there are some people out there who really, really, really love this champion. I've actually seen her in a couple of the most underrated champions in the game lists. You guys can be the judge. Me, personally, I think she's maybe average to slightly above average, I would not call her, you know, incredible S tier rare epic champion. She has the heal reduction on the A1, on the A2, 3 times at random. Now this was increased from 30 to 40% chance. So now with 40, you can get it all the way to 60% chance of placing a stun on those 3 times at random. Of course, 3 times at random, you can target the same enemy twice in a row. So again, kind of diminished returns as opposed to an AoE attack. So that is Scourge, but a nice buff there to, you know, increase the consistency of landing that stun. On the A3, she has attack one enemy 4 times, and then each hit has a 50 or 75% chance of placing a 5% poison debuff for 2 turns. So the strong version of poison on a 3-turn cooldown, that's great, right? And it used to be a 70% chance. I believe this level 3 was a 5% increase, I think, or the level 4 was a 10%. Either way, you can get it now to 75% chance on a 4-hitter. That's a great ability in Blade Surge. The problem is, again, with Rowan is although she's going very fast, that's great. She's getting a lot of poisons down on the opponent. She's also stunning to help you out in dungeons. The downside is, again, keeping her alive. She seems like with that poison, a 4-hitter with poison on each hit, it seems like she'd be great for clan boss. However, with that defense, very difficult to bring her into even brutal clan boss on a consistent basis. So that is Rowan. Let's move on to champion number 3. So coming in number 3 is Frostbringer. So Frostbringer is a very interesting champion, to say the least. 110 speed on this champion, way better defense than Rowan at 1079, and very, very nice HP, over 20,000 HP. So she's a tank, she's a support unit. Her kit is very interesting. At first glance, it seems really crappy, honestly. But there is some hidden value in this champion that we're going to talk about in today's video. 2 times at random on the A1, so you can't target. It's going to be random attacks. Has the, again, the heal reduction on the A1. Not bad. 3 times at random with a decreased defense predicated on landing heal reduction on Snow Flurry. I'll be honest with you guys, Snow Flurry is a crap ability. I hate the contingency of having to have the heal reduction, the prerequisite, if you will, of having to have the heal reduction on the target before landing the decreased defense. And even that, it's not an AoE, it's 3 times at random, far from consistent enough to rely upon as your main decreased defense, unless it's a single target. So unless you're going against, you know, one boss or a clan boss for that matter. On the A3, it is a 4-turn cooldown of increased attack AoE and increased speed, the strong version of 30% on all allies for 2 turns. Arctic Wind's a really nice ability. We would love to see that on a 3-turn, but even on a 4-turn, it's nice to have the AoE increased attack and the increased speed. So with Frostbringer, again, most of you already know where I'm going here. Well, first of all, her aura is good too. Increase allied defense in dungeons by 33%. She's a champion that you can use because she's going to be very, very fast. We talk about speed as the theme of today's video after all. On top of that, she's going to have the increased speed every 4 turns, but because she's going to be building her super, super fast, that buff will be landing on your champions, hopefully, longer than, well, she's so fast and they're not as fast, and it might actually be more consistent than every 4 turns overall for those champions. And then what I would do, and you can already see where I'm going here with this champion, is I would actually put her in a shield set. Extra utility, again, out of these champions. A support champion, she's there to keep your team alive. With that defense aura in dungeons, I'm building out a Frostbringer. I would advise you guys, consider building out a Frostbringer if you're stuck in progression. Anywhere that you can use a magic affinity champion. Put a shield set on her, build her out with high HP and high speed, get those consistent increased speed and increased attack on all of your allies, and then sure, land a few decreased defenses and a few heal reductions as well. So I think that Frostbringer can bring some extra value in a all-around buffer, increased speed, increased attack, and shield onto your team if you build her out with a shield set for progression. That's Frostbringer. So at number 1, we have a 2-way tie. And Golden Reaper is an insane champion who I told you we'll talk about champions that we don't talk about a ton here on the channel. Golden Reaper is one of them. Now, if you're lucky enough to land her, because let's be honest, right? A Void Affinity champion, always difficult to get. Very, very strong, effective, and just overall incredibly useful champion in the game. 111 base speed on the A1 has a, what, 30, 40, 50% chance of decreasing the cooldown of one of a random ally skills by 1 turn. Harvest of Blood is a really solid, doesn't sound like much, but a 50% chance of decreasing the cooldown of a random skill by 1 is really, really solid on an A1 ability, okay? Just even more utility out of an already excellent kit. Now this one is on a 4-turn cooldown, attacks all enemies, has a 75% chance when booked of placing a decrease attack debuff for 2 turns. Decreases the turn meter of each target by 20% if they are not under that decrease attack debuff. A really strong ability here on the A2. Decrease attack is a very, very strong debuff in this game, one of the best in the entire game, and hey, if you don't land it, we decrease the turn meter instead. Of course, both of those are predicated on accuracy, so you need to have high accuracy on this champion. Same thing with the decrease, my bad, decreasing cooldown of an ally skill does not need accuracy, Ash. That would just be the enemies. But the enemy decrease is also based on accuracy, just for future reference for you guys. Alacrity is an insane ability as well, right? Has the turn meter boost of 20% and the 30% increased speed, all on a 3-turn cooldown when booked up. So Alacrity, an incredible ability, an incredibly fast champion, a very, very useful champion in Golden Reaper. A great speed booster with also some other utility added from this really, really tremendous and impressive kit, in my opinion. And the other tied champion at number 1 is Steelskull. Man, this dude is a boss. He is a boss. He's a tremendous champion. Definitely one of the best champions in the game in Steelskull. 111 speed. Dude, does my man look like he's the fastest champion in the world? I'm not trying to be judgmental or anything, but does he look like he's fast? Anyway, Steelskull, he's a fast big fella, right? Anyway, he's attacks one enemy 2 times, has the poison on the A1, very useful for clan boss. Obviously, he is an amazing clan boss, but he's also great in dungeons. Removes all debuffs from a target ally on the A2, then heals them by 40% on a 3-turn cooldown, the full cleanse, and then the 40% heal on the A2. On the A3, protection. It's very straightforward ability here. It protects very well, has the increased defense on all allies for 2 turns, and then heals all allies by 20% of their max HP. So again, guys, this guy has it all. The increased defense on everybody. He has the heal on the A3, the AoE heal. He has the single target heal and the single target cleanse on a 3-turn on cleansing spell. I guess all of his abilities are very... He has decay, cleansing spell, and protection. Very straightforward champion. And then he has the poison on the A1. Again, making him great, especially on a counterattack team for clan boss. He's just a tremendous champion, but even beyond just clan boss. He's really great in Dragon Slayer. Well, you guys can see the reviews, but I kind of disagree. I don't think he's great just in Dragon Slayer, certainly. And he has the anti-affinity matchup, but it doesn't matter because he's a support champion. He's not there to do a tremendous amount of damage. He'll help you out with the poisons, even against the dragon on the A1, but you can use him anywhere. A champion like this who's just healing and removing debuffs doesn't really matter that much about the affinity matchup compared to your debuffers and your big damage dealers on your team. So there you go, guys. Do you like this interesting way of putting a spotlight on 5 champions that we don't talk about every day here on the channel? If so, I'll repeat it for rares and for legendaries. The fastest champion in the game is... Do you know? Siphi the Lost Bride. That's right, she's so good and she's the fastest champion inside the entire game. And there are some very surprisingly quick rare champions such as Diabolus at 110 speed. Guys, again, let me know in the comments below if you want me to mention these champions in other videos kind of covering other rarities, talking about base stats. Again, weird video idea, but I kind of like it because, again, it takes us outside of the normal, like, you know, S-tier, cliche champions in every category. Guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the content here, I invite you to subscribe to the channel. Thank you, and as always, take care, guys.